Tell me about the special edition you put out for the Kennedy assassination.
Well, I think when we started, when Dave Chevin and I came in '61, we pretty well starting from scratch. There were 3 typewriters in the Lariat newsroom. We were in an old building, World War II prefab building on 8th Street and on 7th Street. And because there had been not much direction for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, because there was an opening for 1 year before they tried to hire lawyers. And so we almost had to build, it's like building something from scratch. And so we were kind of getting it together by '63. And Paul Currier, best photographer I've ever known or ever met, now no longer with us, who was still a student at the time. He stayed on as a staff photographer at Baylor. Came to Houston and took pictures of the Kennedys here. And Ed DeLong and Ray Hubiner went to Dallas, and DeLong got a telephone and called us after the assassination from the hospital, and we put out a 1 page at first with pictures that Currier had taken, and then followed up with 3 more pages, so that by early Saturday we had a 4-page paper. We normally didn't have a Saturday paper. That was important because at the Society of Professional Journalists, the Sigma Delta Chi awards that year, we won first place in reporting, and Mr. Chevins had gone with some students to the meeting in Kansas City, and he calls back very excited and say, we won first place. And at that moment you could tell we were on the rise. You know, I mean, we'd done something really important. DeLong later became the chief space writer for UPI, lives in Australia in retirement now. And Ray Hubiner had a long career in education in New York City. Currier unfortunately died, but he was a terrific photographer. And from that moment on, it seemed that we were, you know, from then on we just kept, we would have the Southwest Journalism Congress met every year, and we'd get to where we would win. It wasn't uncommon for us to win almost all the major awards. I mean, and the other schools would kind of figure out, like, I remember this one year, this woman from Texas said, who are these people? We were outshining the University of Texas, and you know, you get the award for photography, the award for reporting, the reward for sports writing, and so forth, and it would all be Baylor people, and we'd do that year after year after year, and
that's not just Texas.
It was the same. It was just Texas. Southwest Journalism Congress was just Texas. It was the major schools. It was the major schools in Texas: A&M, Texas, TCU, SMU, Baylor, and 1 or 2 others. See, so it was a big deal to do this, and so you build the momentum. You build the momentum. People get excited. Students get excited. They know they're doing a good job. You see.
What are you most proud of from that time?
I'm most proud of how well everybody did. I mean, how well, just the accomplishments of so many of these people. So many, there were 7 or 8 people that became newspaper the main editors of the newspapers where they were, including Mike Blackman, Tony Peterson, and managing editors and news editors, Judy Cartwright in Newsday, and one woman from that period, Roma Revis, later was a major figure in radio in Chicago, on a morning show with her husband. It was just great to see the accomplishments of all those people.
you've won a number of awards for your teaching. National awards. What does that mean, or what did that mean to you to be recognized for your teaching?
Well, it tells friends, former students, and others. It tells others that something you tried to do and did over a period of time is appreciated. That it didn't happen in a vacuum. That there are people who noticed it and paid attention to it. That's what's important. I think it's as important for my friends as it is for me. When I got an award at the Graduate School of Journalism at Columbia a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, and at the lunch that we had, there were people from every school except I taught at UTA for 3 years. There was people from SMU, Baylor, University of Houston at the lunch, and seeing them and being with them and the sharing, the excitement of it was just wonderful. They just, great group of people who all have done very well professionally. One woman who was the executive producer of the David Letterman show. Terry Mattingly, who's still doing a weekly column for Scripps Howard, for Scripps religion column for 20 almost 30 years. Well, it may be 30 years now. Ray Hubener, who was one of the editors at the Lariat, who was a longtime administrator. You see what I mean? Yeah. I think that's the significant. Tom Belden, who put the whole thing together, he's the one who caused me to get the award, and who's been a friend. He was the editor at the Lariat, and his wife, Janice Miller, who at one point was my secretary at SMU. Think about that. Great person. Just having, just a sense of community and having people. Judy Cartwright, who was an editor at Newsday on Long Island. And then two of my friends from Baylor were there. Patty Griffin, whom I mentioned before, and Mary Cozart. Mary lives in New York. Patty teaches at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. They were there. So that's what makes it all worthwhile, I think.
Do you miss